Broadway, Scoopsy, Hazy.
What's up, boys? Guys, I'm having a tough time betting here, so I'm gonna have to start taking some advice from you guys, because you guys are starting to clean up here, boys. But I miss you guys.
Mush. Isn't that a one movie though? Isn't that from a movie where the guy couldn't pick a fucking winner?
I don't know if it's a movie, but that's what it's like referring to. It's like a mush. Like
it is.
It's got to be a Boston thing.
Yeah.
It's a Boston thing?
Yeah, you're an absolute mush. Yeah, like you just.
Oh, okay.
You're an absolute mush. You don't want to be known as a mush.
Because Joe DeMarco sent me something about your picks too. He was chirping you. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I got to be honest. I am on fucking fire.
Yeah.
My poor bookies.
Mush, Eddie Mush from the movie. Fucking
Kingpin?
The Bronx Tale or whatever. Here, hold on. Eddie Mush. Yeah. So this is the guy from the racetrack where the guy comes down and they're like, they got all their money on this horse. And then Mush shows up and they're like, yeah, we got the 9 horse. And the guys are like, fuck, not Mush. And they don't even watch the race. They just leave because Mush bet it. And sure enough, the horse was leading. And then at the very end, they lose.
Oh, no.
It's from a Bronx Tale.
Hey, that just goes to sum it up, boys. I can't even get the fucking quotes right, so I'm fucking mushing everything right now. This is a tough stretch for Broadway. It was good in Vegas with you guys because I was pretty much peer pressure, just take whatever you guys are doing. But when I get home, I start overthinking this shit, and man, that is not good. My dad had to give me a pep talk because I was telling him my strategy, and he's like, that's literally how you don't bet.
And Uppy, I know you wanted to talk on one of our, you guys, all of our former teammate, but Nick Bunchy Bukestad. What did you think?
First of all, we'll talk about the Bunchy. So this is so funny. Bunchy, Nick Bukestad, who is a great Minnesota kid. He comes in, he leaves college early. He comes to Florida, has a great finish to the year. They think he's going to score 30 every year. And he comes in and he's quiet. And whenever he says something, it makes no fucking sense, and he's hilarious, and he kind of laughs at his own jokes, and we laugh at him, and that's who he is, Jimbo?
The best thrill wrecker in the league, too.
Oh, yeah, that too. So anyway, Ray Donovan has a character, Bunchy, who's Ray's like delinquent brother.
Yeah.
And he's all over the map.
What a show. I love that show.
It's a great show. And so Bunchy becomes his nickname. Now, they're doing an interview. They're doing an interview, boys. They're doing an interview, I forget who was with on TV, and they're like, why do these guys call you Bunchy? And he's like, well, because, there's this show, Ray Donovan, and the guys, the brother is like, so this idiot, and, he's fucking dumb as all shit. And the boys just call me Bunchy, and it fits. And the guy was like, what? So that was why we continued Bunchy.
Uppy, when I got traded to Boston, I was sitting at the red line doing like stretching. Bukestad's over there. I'm like, what's up, Bunchy? He looks at me. He's like, nobody calls me that anymore. I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? Nobody calls me that anymore. I see Yandel after the game. I'm like, you guys stopped calling him Bunchy? And he was like, I didn't know this was his nickname. Right back to Bunchy.
What's Missin Curfew? It's when you kind of play guilty, but you show up.
How nice is a green light on the road, though? No practice tomorrow, no plane, just go.
Scotty Upshaw in the clear, and he scores! Right in front, scores!
A few laughs, a little bit of fun, and obviously a lot of hockey talk.
You're listening to Missin Curfew.
The lads.
Up dog, Scoopsy. One of these boys, I actually asked this beauty to come on throughout the course of the season. He said, hey, Obes, listen, I'm going to focus on playing hockey. I love the pod. I'll be on the off season. And he made the right decision because we all know the fucking year he had.
And talk about playing hockey.
So,
he played some good.
Talk about
good
being
hockey.
a pro. Tyson Bears, 610 matches. What's up, Bears?
How we doing, fellas?
610 matches ain't so bad.
That brings a little tear to my eye.
600, man.
That brings a little tear to my eye.
It's beautiful. Once you get to 600, you get that leather jacket. Sorry, I'm talking over him. I shouldn't. Okay. He's too good of a guy to talk over. Shouldn't do that. 610 matches, though, you get that leather jacket from the PA, don't you?
400 games you do.
Oh?
I don't even know. Do they still give out shit in the NHL?
I don't think
Bears?
I haven't got to have I
haven't seen that thing.
Hey, Bears, it brings a tear to my eye because I remember when you'd get called up and you'd talk about Stefan Elliott because they were giving him every opportunity, and I'd be like, Bears, don't worry. This kid is fucking not as good as you. And hey, I hate to say I told you so, but where's Stefan Elliott playing? Anyone heard of him lately? Where's he nowadays?
He was in Wilkes-Barre with me at one point.
He's carving out a nice little career run over to Europe for a bit, just had a baby, so
yeah.
That's all good.
He's not quarterbacking the best PP in the league.
No, he didn't have Bears' like swag and ability to like move like side to side. But what he did have Bears is you could say he could shoot the puck, that guy, huh?
He could fire it.
I saw the clip actually of you I don't know. I was in Vegas over there was some the weekend, which we'll get into, but you almost got attacked by a bald eagle or something, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching my Instagram clips while you're in Vegas, you're doing something wrong down there.
He's staring at the ceiling. He can't sleep.
When I couldn't sleep at 7 a.m, I think it came through my feed, fella.
I was up. I went up to Tofino for a week and kind of get off the grid. It's a beautiful little spot up island, and Willie Mitchell's out there, and hung out with him, had some dinners, and
Mitchie, babe.
took us out on the boat, and just threw a fish on the back of the boat, and this thing was probably like 6 feet wingspan, just came flying, almost took my head off.
I saw that. I was like, Bears heads. It felt like back in our plane day. I was like, Bears heads, that fucking thing. Does anyone love fucking red wine sitting on the bird and shooting the shit more than Willie Mitchell? I don't like that guy. Fucking, hey, he could take a 4-hour flight and make it feel like about an hour. Hey,
I just loved it. He's all about the red French burgundies is what he loves. I think the guy's got more of that, more collection of it.
He's into the French whites, the Chablis right now. So he's nothing's changed much up there. He's still running the same program. He's a heck of a man, old Willie Mitchell.
I love Mitchie, and I actually sent him I don't know why I DM'd him, but I said something on a Vancouver radio station with Dan and Randeep about how like Kessel and Burroughs back in the day would get Iggy fired up, and then Mitchie would have to fight him, and Mitchie would get pumped by him, and then I DM'd him, and he fucking iced me where it said scene. So I don't know if like, hey Mitchie babe, I didn't mean it like that. I was chirping Kess and Burr, not really him. So I don't know. I hope he's not mad at me because I love Willie Mitchell.
I'll have to check in with him. Make sure you guys.
Yeah, fire him a text for me.
Let's just go up and see him if Canada opens up their borders. Let's go catch some fish.
Buddy,
take her.
Whenever we can go to BC.
I'd love to see a bird try to take you off a boat. You would wreck that. If a bird came flying down at you, you might just fucking turnbuckle that.
That would be a no-brainer trip to head up there for you guys.
What I'm weighing right now, it's going to take more than a fucking bird to knock me.
Yeah, so
right behind Jobs.
I tell you what, Bears, if I drink enough, I'll follow the boat on my own probably. So, Bears, I got to ask you about, we were in Vegas. Your old man, Len Barrie, he likes to like the Vegas trips, didn't he?
Yeah. He didn't mind heading to Vegas for a couple nights, no doubt.
How's he doing?
Lenny's great. He's down in Scottsdale.
Another
my mom just hanging down there, hitting happy hours, and he's following what I'm doing pretty closely. So still talk to him after every game, and I think he thinks he's my age, and he's making all the calls. So.
Oh, he loves it. So Lenny would end up back with Bears. When Bears and me had played in Denver, Lenny would end up back at my place after the bar and every now and then or whatever for a drink after the game. And
yeah,
I always had to bring up like, fuck Lenny, you traded me to Tampa. Like, why'd you trade me? The one day I asked him finally, I don't know if Bears remember this, but I asked him, I said, Lenny, like, wait, he's like, fuck, you're drinking too much.
Yeah.
I'm like, I saw you out every night. He's like, exactly. You saw the owner out every night. I'm like, that's actually a good point. So he's a beauty though, Bears.
Oh yeah, he's one of a kind. Big personality on him. Not afraid to kind of call it how it is, and he can tip him back.
I just wanted to touch back, like when your first year, you work your ass off, you get yourself into the National League, and then boom, you look across the room and you're paired with number 5 Shane O'Brien. How was it playing with him early on and having him in
Man, it was. I think it was a blessing. He was such a wagon in the room. It was hilarious. I just sit there, listen to him, tell his stories and everything. And he kind of took me under his wing. And we had Big Ryan O'Byrne was there too, and they were boys. So
Big Sexy.
I had a good little crew on the back end to look after me. And what was hilarious. He was never like in prac. He would fire the hardest passing. And then in a game, he'd get it. And then instead of going firing one hard, he'd go backhand through the middle sauce, ticked off. I think it was incredible. So I remember one time, like one of my first games, I think we were, maybe Columbus. I can't remember where we were playing, but he was telling me, he's like, Bears, hey, slide it over to me, kid. Hey, slide it over to me on the blue. So I got one. I fired it over to him. He threw like a wrister. It hit I think it hit the end wall, bounced off his skate, and I think Kobasu might be touching it or something. He goes, Here's what I tell you, kid, get it over, eh, bud?
Hey, it was Toronto. We scored, right?
Yeah.
It was Toronto. You threw it over to me. I threw like this little buffing down low, came out front, and Mago, the little French fuck, was right there. He put it in. I was like, I told you, Bear, slide over.
I know he was. I think you had like 3 points or something at that point. And he was telling me to slide it over.
I was struggling. I mean, that year, was that the lockout year?
Yeah, the lockout or the year before, I can't remember.
I think it was the lockout year. When was the one time they called you up and you were playing with me and we were in Edmonton in the old barn, and our D coach, it was David Quinn, because I fucking hate this guy. You played for Quinn in there, right?
Yeah, I had Quinny in the minors and then in Colorado.
In Colorado. So Quinner, him and Sacco were always like, make the safe play, Bears. Make the safe play up the wall. And then maybe this wasn't right by me, but I'm like, fuck that, Bears. We're going D to D, all right? You go D to D to me. I'm going to go up. You come underneath, and I'm going to sauce it back to you. So we're in Edmonton, and Bears is trying to make the right play, right? And who's my loudmouth? I'm like, Bears, D to D. So he kind of fucking fumble fucks and slides it over. And I can't remember exactly. Prince, you'll find the clip, but it hits Ryan Smith's stick. And I'm flat-footed now underneath him. And here comes Alex Hemsky, Bears. He fucking inside out past Barley, and the rest of the night I was right like this: grocery stick, chin strap undone. So, it was great.
Yeah, I put you in the soup there. I want to see that clip. I haven't watched in a while, but you were on the top 10 the entire year.
I was on the top 10 the entire year.
That was my bad.
Oh yeah. It's the worst I ever got walked.
Hey Bears, who's you ever been a music guy in the dressing room? I know you're a big music fan. I know you got you're tight with a bunch of.
I was a music guy for like 3 or 4 years in Colorado, and just really a thankless job. But once I got traded to Toronto, I went in and they already had somebody, and I was like, it was kind of a blessing because you can only do it for so long. But I like to take over the morning tunes more so than the pregame tunes,
I agree. It's so hard to make everyone happy before the game. It's impossible.
Who's running the tunes in Toronto?
Big Tony, Marner. I would say Marnes mostly though, and then kind of whoever. I mean, they were big rap guys, so kind of like Drake, Young Thug.
Right up mine. Lots of players on that team. Fuck, I gotta get on that team.
Yeah.
I always thought morning tunes were more important to me than pregame tunes, because pregame tunes, a lot of guy, you go to your warm up, you got your thing in. Morning tunes are important, especially on the game day or practice day. Get the boys feeling good, Bears.
100%. I think it kind of gets you in the right mindset, mellows you out a little bit. You get some good tunes going. Like I think it was like, I've never seen anything like it. Like this year I went in and we were listening to like Slipknot and like, I don't even know, like the most outrageous, and there's a time and a place for that. Don't get me wrong. Like, but it was the most outrageous tunes in the morning. Like, and I was like, hey, what's going on here? And he's like, oh, the trainer's like, it's just my Spotify. But I don't even know. He was using like a radio app or something. And I'm like, man, like, can we get Spotify? And we'll just like I'll throw on a radio. We'll get this thing going. I put it on and guys are like, I had like probably 5 or 6 guys like, hey, whose tunes are these? Like, this is life changing. I'm like, I don't know. Anything's better than what you guys had going.
That's a big like issue. That's something, that needs to be addressed, and I'm glad you addressed that. It'll probably turn the boys around. That's why you get such a good regular season.
He's got a couple good radios on Spotify now that could take him a long way. So, Goth Babe, this guy, he's an amazing artist. He's playing at Red Rocks, I think, back to back, maybe late August. You guys might have to
Goth Babe. Write it down.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to see Rufus Del Sol. I'm making Flowers buy me tickets because he never buys anything.
Good luck with that.
And
good luck with that.
So they're doing 2 shows the beginning or like second week in August. We'll let you know because you should come.
I'll pop up for one.
Yeah, I'm like, buddy, everyone that's bought a watch off you, get him a ticket to Rufus and like invite him out there. Be a nice touch. Red Rocks is the best.
Yeah, and at Flowers, anytime you go to Vegas, don't be afraid to pull your credit card out once. Like, he didn't pull it out fucking once. I know, not even around. I'm like, play around for the boys.
I got a funny one about Flowers. We had we did our golf trip with like Stid and Nate and Braid. We do that every year, and we went down to we were at the Nobu and maybe Newport.
Malibu.
It was the Nobu and Malibu, that new one.
Okay.
And we invited Flowers, and he came for dinner or whatever, and we had like the crispy tuna rice or one of those nice Toro like sashimis, and he was fucking. I think Sid was picking up the whole tab, and Flowers got his tuna, and he was like, "This is garbage." Like, wanted to send it back. He was all bitter about his free tuna.
Man, fucking, that's him in a nutshell right there. I go, oh, this place is shit.
Everything is just an act. It's just so like, God, Flowers.
Yeah, as you know, Bears, you play with me. I'm not a big practice guy, especially early in the morning when we're doing drills down low. I'm like, is this necessary? We played tomorrow night. What was MacKinnon like in practice? Because that guy, like, he's a bull.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit of this. I find a lot of these a lot of these top guys, they take practice pretty seriously. I don't know.
All of them do.
Bergeron, Mark sideways, but Nate was intense.
Well said, Bears.
Yeah, Nate was intense. He would, every shot he was trying to score, he'd be running guys. He'd fight guys, whatever. He's as intense as they come. But the first game we ever played him last year after I got traded, like first shift, they gave me the start in Colorado. Nate center ice. 30 seconds later, back of the net. Nate scored. I'm like, oh, that's what that feels like. He's he's such a bull out there,
buddy. It's insane. So Lupo hasn't been watching much hockey. We played about a month ago, and I'm like, hey, you want to come back to my house? And the Avs were playing in Phoenix, and I'm like, put the money on the Avalanche. She's like, yeah, they're really that good. And McKinnon Landeskog came out in the first period, and it was 4-0 before Phoenix even. I had a sweat going, like, just to see what you're saying, Bears, like the way they could come out and just dominate a game is insane.
Now you got to experience kind of playing basically in the two biggest Canadian markets. And what is the difference, if there is any difference? And I know it's kind of hard for you because it's a kind of a COVID type year, but what was like the different like vibe and energy around those rooms?
Yeah, I mean, both good experiences. I think the one thing is like getting traded is different than signing somewhere. I got traded to Toronto, and I was kind of worried. I didn't think it was going to be a great fit right off the hop, and turned out it wasn't. And so it kind of, maybe soured my taste of Toronto a little bit, but I certainly didn't play as well as I could have, and the fans certainly let me know. And so it was tough, but there's a lot of attention on that team, and it's a great crew in Toronto. The Matthews, Marner, Riley, they got a great group of guys there, and I think they're going to be fine. I know everyone's kind of freaking out in Leafland about it, but they'll break through. And but it was different than Edmonton. Edmonton, obviously, I didn't get to really experience it. No fans in the building. No restaurants were open. The whole thing. So it was just kind of to the rink and back. But again, great group of guys. Dry and Connor and Nursey are great leadership crew there. And another team that I know we got swept and 3 overtime games, but that's we get one of those in overtime. We got a series, and I think we could have done some damage this year. Obviously, tough to say.
Broadway, you got anything else for Bears here before we let him go? You got anything left?
Yeah, the one question I was going to ask you is just kind of talk about Mike Smith and just how good he is at handling the puck, and like how much do you appreciate that as a defenseman? It's almost like you got a guy going back there for you, and you could just keep your own.
Yeah, I honestly love the Smith dog. He's a beauty. Incredible with the puck. It makes such a difference when you just go and your job. You just go to the corners, and usually you'll hit the centerman, coming through the middle, or I don't know. It's crazy. You don't even have to go back to the biscuit. You just confuses them when you go try to get it.
No, you just go right. You just go. I had him in Tampa Bears. As soon as he got in the net, I was like, I'm just going right to the corner. You don't even go near him.
That's all you do. You go to the corner, and he makes his play.
Some of the plays, though, in between periods, I'm like, Smitty's sick play, but can you tone her down a bit? You're making me look bad, bud. You just went cross-ice sauce to video in full stride. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you shoot it harder than me, too. Yeah.
Well, he's a great dude, too. What a guy Smitty is.
He's great in the room, too, isn't he, Bears? I had Kenny Holland on when I talked to him about him, too. Smitty for a goalie is so impactful in the room.
Oh, amazing. He's like, he's not first, he's so intense. He's always looking to go somebody on his own team, on the other team. He's ready to go at any time, but he brings it every night, and he keeps young guys honest, and great sense of humor, hell of a guy.
Thank you, buddy. Good luck, and say hi to Lenny for me, will you?
Thanks for having me on, fellas. We'll catch you in Denver.
You bet. See you, Bears.
Updog, another legit National Leaguer from our era.
From your area. Vegas.
Little Texas back in the day. Razor, he stayed out of Little Texas. That's why, he won the Calder. He had a good career. He stayed away from me and Richardson early on in his career. But one of my favorite teammates, 2004 Calder Cup winner, Andrew Raycroft. Razor, thank you, fella.
Yes, thanks for having me on. I've been waiting this call with bated breath. Excited to hang out with you guys.
And we use the term on the golf course a lot, Smoothie Douglas, when a guy has a nice buttery swing. This guy is Uppy, the ultimate Smoothie Dougie.
Like on and off?
Like, on and off, yeah. He's cool as the other side of the pillow.
But you're talking on the course.
I'm talking like his back doesn't hurt after the round, probably, right? Razor, does your back even hurt?
Oh, he's a goalie.
Not much force. It's a little flat in the back, little Matt Kuchar-esque, but
slow and steady, long swing. So did you guys grow up? Did you golf? You guys grow up golfing?
But Razor, you were more like when I was training at Bell with Jason Saprika, and you'll love this. We had Richie on a couple weeks ago, and I called Soupy's thing 4-to-1 fitness, and then I chirped about how much he charged me. He like texted me, he's like, "You probably spent more this weekend than what I charged." I'm like, "Soupy, it was a fucking joke." But I think you were spending your summers in Boston then, right? You'd only come home for a little bit.
Yeah, I was like that 2002, 2003, right when you guys were starting to make hay. I was down here a little bit more. I had burned my Belleville summers out already and needed to clean my act up and stay down here and get in the gym. So I didn't just hang out with Obes and play golf every afternoon and skip out on my 5-to-1 workouts.
Yeah. Black Bear, Trillium Woods, and then right to fucking Little Texas that night was usually Richie for about 3 or 4 summers.
I've only drove through town on the way to Kingston. Stopped at the local, what did I stop at? The local alcohol store?
LCBO.
I stopped at the LCBO, grabbed it.
Yeah.
He started
right on North Front Street.
No, he stopped at the one in Port Hope actually, and he took a piss on the side of it.
Sent him a video. I'm like, I'm on my way to Kingston
to do that
to watch this Tragically Hip show, and I was completely gooned at the time. I'd spent the whole afternoon on a boat with our boy Travis. And sure enough, in the Sprinter van, I see this fucking, Trans-Canada Highway sign with Port Hope, and I'm like, no fucking way, I'm stopping at Oak.
Gotta take a peek.
I'm taking a peek. I would have stayed the night. I would have called Pitter and said, Pitter, let's fucking go.
You would have got a kill, but it wouldn't have been your best one. I'll tell you. No. It wouldn't have been one you'd tell the boys at home about. But hey, one thing about Razor, before we get into the bees, Razor, when he would come home to visit his family when we were skating, this is probably right after you won the Calder or whatever, he'd come out, Bruins gear. And right, we'd come in, and guys would rip a couple high on your Razor would be like, fuck it, that's it. Off he goes. Like, done. He's like, I'm like, boys, you got to keep him down on Razor. Remember that?
Yeah, I thought I was a veteran national leaguer at that point. I wasn't going to let you junior guys go high and hard on me.
I'm like, I hadn't scored on him anyway, so it's okay, boys. I'm looking to get my confidence up here.
Boy, it was always Richie. He was such a little weasel like that. Always Richie, just giggling and thinking it was funny.
I know, right? He ripped him high and hard. Me and Richie every summer, at least once or twice, we get in like a fuck you where I cross-checked him and be like, what are you going to do, Richardson? And he doesn't talk to me for a couple days, and then I text him like, yo, we going a little Texas today or what's going on?
Razor, let me just go back. Obi obviously on the introduction said you won the Calder Cup in 2004 with the Bruins, which is amazing. It's something for a young rookie to, that trophy's always yours, which is amazing. But take us back to being a rookie. You're playing with the likes of Joe Thornton, Samsonov, Mike Knuble. I play with noobs, but what was it like to be a young guy and compete for a hell of a franchise like the Bruins back when you were a kid?
Well, it was amazing, and we touched just as we were going on. So I had played 3 years pro before that, so I was like the pre-lockout rookie of the year guy. When guys actually had to go to the minors and ride the buses and grind it out in the jungle, I was one of those guys. So I played my first National League game in 2000, actually, right out of junior. Couple injuries in front of me, it allowed me to play right away out of junior. And then it took me another couple years to figure it out in the minors. And so being around those guys, having Joe Thornton when he was, a year older than me, but it felt like he was 5 years older. And even watching him in junior, I mean, the guy was a man-child. So to hang out with him and sit in his apartment and stay in his apartment while I was 20 years old was the dream come true. I really could have finished my career then. I mean, that was as good as it got. But like I said, grinded away, and then to be able to win Rookie of the Year, to have that NHL trophy, like you guys know, is pretty special.
Yeah, you were looking good in that pick too. You had the hair flowing, you had the hair up. I remember the pick, Razor. Hey, did you have a nice little bonus for that Calder back in the day? Did you have that slipped in there?
Oh, yeah, I had a bonus, but it's not as good as the entry-level bonuses that the boys used to get back in the day. That was a good part of the NHL back then.
Fuck, it was stockpiled.
Hey,
my contract loopholes, they were just stockpiled. They weren't paying you a whole lot in salary, but fuck, if you hit those bonuses, and if you were good, you hit them.
You got $1 million check right before you right? You got $1 million.
Siding bonus was $1 million for the 3 year. But then I think the performance bonuses are what we're going to talk about. That's if you hit 20 goals, it was like $250. If you hit, and there was a 7 goal segment basically. Like if you hit the 20 goals or 35 assists or you were the top, 4 in ice time, and you clipped 2 out of the 7, you got them all. It was like a crazy, form of paying out these kids. Nowadays, they just get paid in their second contracts.
You know who got some big bonuses is before Chris Gratton. Gratz is always like, tell me the bonuses. Johnny's like, too much, guy. I'm like, Gratz, how much making bonuses? Too much, guy, too much. He made like outrageous amount of money.
Those guys, I used probably $10 million by the time he got out of his first 3 years. So that mine was front loaded. I hit, like I said, I was playing games, so I did get some of those bonuses. I had a good signing bonus out of juniors, which guys don't get now. Like you said, you're chasing $1 million coming out of junior. That was a good deal. But for me, winning rookie of the year, I was on my 4th year. So I was out of my entry level. So my bonus was like $100,000, where it had to been the year before, I would have been, 600, 700, 700. So that was a bit of a kick in the teeth, especially because I had to tell everybody that, because back in the day, like you said, everyone asked you that.
Totally. It was common knowledge. Yeah.
By every player after I won it, and I had to tell them why I wasn't that good. So it was more of a shot to my ego than my bank account at that point.
So, and who did you, so you had played the 2020 and like the couple years before, but who did you end up like beating out? Who were the runner-ups for
rookie of the year?
Yeah, that year.
Yeah, so I had Michael Ryder and I had Trent Hunter. So all 3 of us were 1980 birthdays. We were all 23 years old. We were the old rookie guys. Like, realistically, nowadays, we'd probably never have a chance at rookie of the year. But we can all say we were finalists.
You might have beat those 2 guys in a fastest skating contest too, with our goalie gear on. Those could be 2 of the slowest guys I've ever played against. Ryan just come down the wall. I'm like, oh, this is a nice tempo here. I can hit.
Yeah, he's slowing it down.
This is a Mike Keenan story, really quick. I know this is like complete story time, but Mike Keenan was I had Pat Burns and Mike Keenan the first 4 months of my NHL career. So imagine being a 20-year-old goalie, having Pat Burns yell at you. You didn't even know my name. You just called me kid for the first 4 months. He gets fired. 2 days later, Mike Keenan comes in the room and makes me ride the bike for 65 minutes after every game I'm playing. I'm dying to get out of the National League because I hate this guy so much. Can't ride the bike for 60 minutes after every game anymore because I'm already 140 pounds. I can't take it anymore. We have a meeting in Detroit. I'll never forget this. Meeting in Detroit, pregame meeting. Like I said, I'm 20 years old. I'm just trying to not be seen. Don't want anyone. I got Bill Guerin in the room. I got Joe Thornton, all these guys. Mike Keenan calls me up to the front of the room. He says, is Joe Thornton going to be your captain for the next 15 years in this league?
Wow.
And I said, well, of course, yes. And meanwhile, Jason Allison's the real captain sitting right beside me, too. He hates all the young guys. So now I'm really screwed because he's going to hate me. And he left me up there for minutes, felt like hours. And then he sat me down. I said, no, I don't think he's going to be in front of everybody. And then moved on. So that was like what was going on. There was an undertone of that with Joe the whole way, and I think it was just misconstrued and him wanting to be one of the guys.
You got Babcocked.
I just wrote that down. I'm like, that's what Babcock did to Marner. That is so fucking gutless. How a coach thinks he could pull up a young kid in front of grown men and ask him that question. Like,
that's crazy.
I used to have a little bit of respect for Keenan, but now I think it's all gone out the window.
Iron
That's
Mike.
Fucking gutless.
I saw he was at the Flyers alumni game with me and Loops. He was working the bench.
No way.
Fucking Iron Mike was there. Yeah.
How's his hair? Has he got any pieces left up?
Yeah, that's great. It's going on him.
You got to give him that. He still do the comb over late in the career. Like, fuck my man. I don't know.
Let's talk about. Let's switch a little bit. You had Patrice Bergeron on your team as a rookie. This kid. This Hall of Famer, call him a kid. Animal. You call him whatever you want. He has come so far and done so much for this league, for his team, for, the game itself, for our country, Canada. Like, he's just an all-around unbelievable player. What was this kid like as a rookie, growing up? And then did you think he'd turn into what he has today? Like, he's Mr. Selke, like he is the, like, never makes he is the guy.
He's literally, like, you talked about who you want to be when you grow up, and you talk about Joe Thornton. Patrice Bergeron is literally the perfect human being.
Yeah.
All of those things you talked about on the ice, he's better off the ice. And I cannot tell you it's not an exaggeration. He's literally perfect. And to that, I was lucky. I was his roommate. I was his first National League roommate. Him and I were the 2 young guys, the 2 quiet ones. Joe Thornton, our top line centers were Joe Thornton and Patrice Bergeron. It was pretty good in hindsight. All world team. What 18 years old, second round pick when 18-year-olds didn't play back then.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Thornton didn't play back then when he was 18, let alone Patrice Bergeron, a second round pick. He came in and was just better every day. Every single day he was better. He never made a mistake, like you said. He was so good defensively right off the bat. Didn't know much English at the time. Didn't speak very much. Even being a roommate as an 18-year-old kid, you know, we would just go back and sleep. That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to play hockey and he wanted to sleep.
No wonder we didn't fucking make the Hall of Fame, eh?
We forgot about one thing.
Man, I probably shouldn't have gone out those nights in Toronto.
Oh, Razor. Sleep and play hockey. Sleep and play hockey. Why did I know that?
Yeah. So that's lesson number one that I missed out on.
Razor, you're right about that. But listen, nowadays, I would have been a great pro. I can't sleep in. I go to bed every night at 10 o'clock. I don't really drink during the week. I eat pretty clean. I'm like, I'm fucking 15 years too late here to the party. Like, if I would have been like this, I would have made fucking 100 bananas, Razor. I'd be living down in Baker's Bay or something.
Oh, boy, there would have been a bunch more backhand sauces kicking around the National League still.
You obviously getting traded for Tuuka, who at the time hadn't signed with Toronto. How's your relationship with him? How did that whole thing kind of go down? You know, you're back in Boston now, living there, I'm sure, with your family and stuff. But what was that like back in the day?
Yeah, it's funny. So first and foremost, everybody on Twitter, yes, I did get traded for Tuuka. Yes, it's and if that's the worst thing that ever happens for me.
Hey,
yeah, for all you Toronto fucking fans,
I got right here, tied for franchise wins in Toronto Rangers. A great trade.
Fucking rights it is. Who's your?
I still like to think that I saved Tuuka's career a whole lot more than anything else, because if he had stayed in Toronto, who knows?
I know that he would have flew back to Finland and played the fuck.
It wasn't easy, especially when I was still playing and still grinding, and you see Tuuka here and successful and winning Stanley Cups, and I'm coming back here. My wife's from here. This is Boston's home. It has been. So that wasn't easy when I was 29, 30, 31, and but now it's odd. Now it's great. Now I take it for what it's worth. It makes my kids think was okay at hockey, because they've seen this guy still playing, and I got traded for him. So that works. And what I'm doing, it still connects me. I saw Tuuka before the game. We laugh and we joke. And like I say, he's got kids. Our kids went to the same school at some point. So it's not something we talk about. It's just, we're just two goalies. But certainly the knuckleheads on Twitter that think it's such an insult to call me out for getting traded for Tuuka, like I didn't know that or didn't recognize it, is absolutely incredible.
Razor, I love you, buddy. We gotta get you back on. I got way more stuff here for you. But
I need to hear still. I need to hear what it was like fucking you two playing together. I need I need an O'Brien story here before he leaves or something.
That could be a whole nother pod.
I only had a cup of coffee with Obes in Florida, just a cup.
Yeah, it was a nice cup.
It was a good cup of war. Yeah, it was a
nice cup.
Yeah, my cup was full. This is the bad. This is what I was thinking about, because I knew we'd get to one, and this I think kind of sums up where we were there. So I just had my son. I'm married. I'm not on the same schedule as Obi at that point now, but love Obi more than anything. Hey, Obes, I'm coming out. I signed with Vancouver, but I'm not getting a place right away, the whole thing. I'm not staying in a hotel either, because I'm like a 9-year NHL vet. I'm not staying in a hotel doing NHL training camp. So, Obes, can I stay with... Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Come on in, Razor. Come on in.
It's a bit of a longer story. So, the best of the first day, and I'm fighting with Corey Schneider. So, like, I can't... Like, I'm not chasing. Like, this is like, I got to play well. Land in Vancouver, haven't slept for 2 weeks, just had a newborn son, can't wait to get to Van, draw my bags, get to Obes on a Saturday night at like 8 o'clock. I fly in, put my stuff down, I'm sitting on the couch, and Obes is getting antsy, right? Like, he's getting a little antsy, but he doesn't want to be rude because I just got there. And then finally he's like, hey, Race, you mind if I go out for a little while? I just have to go meet a couple people. Like, do you mind if I... Oh, absolutely. Like, of course, get out of here. And so I go to bed and probably 3:30 in the morning, there's a party in the kitchen. I'm like, all right, here. It's going to be a fun month.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't worried about you making the squad. I guess you were. I was like, Razor, you got this. You can't be out here. We got this, bud.
Yeah.
And then Razor obviously made the team, and then he lived in Cole Harbour with me. And what I remember is we would drive to practice together and stuff like that to the airport. And a lot of times I would drive to the airport, and Razor would drive home. And when we land, I go, Razor, here's the keys, buddy.
Well, and most of it, I would also say probably 50 to 60% of the time, halfway home was me by myself after me dropping you off somewhere. I'd get the rig back to Cole Harbour, and then I'd pick you up the next morning for practice.
Oh, man. Razor was there when I slept in for practice, too.
Oh, yeah. When the Hut radio station?
Yeah. I never asked you, how was that from your perspective when you're like, where the fuck is this guy? Yeah.
No, it was horrible. I was thinking of that last night when I knew we were talking, because that was the worst. I must have called you 500 times.
Yeah.
And because I had already been there at the rink, because we weren't riding together that day for whatever reason. And had I been there, I would have been able to run over, and I don't know if I would have been able to wake you up.
I didn't plug the old phone charger in, eh? Like, I fucking came in, stumbled around. It didn't help. I hit every bar in Vancouver that day, every single fucking one, Razor. Then I hit the roller on the way home. I'm like, fuck it, I'll go in for one. Going to plug it in, doesn't plug in, wake up, phone charges. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. Get to the barn. Remember, I don't know if you remember, I tried to scramble to get my gear on, and then Bernie's like, you're not going out there. I'm like, fuck that, I can go out there. I'm ready. Let's go. I can snap this around. Go ride the bike. You remember how AV would do his press conferences? Then remember TC Carling? TC comes in. I go, what did hey TC, what did AV say about me there? He's like, well, they asked about 10 times where Shane O'Brien was, and he said 10 times, I'm not going to talk about Shane O'Brien. I'm like, it's probably not perfect. He's like, no, you're in one here, bud. I'm like,
that's the worst.
It was the worst. But.
That is the worst. But that's why we got the name of our podcast here, Razors. Yeah. It's fucking Missin Curfew.
I think I didn't even miss I think I got home that night about midnight, but I was so squashed.
Missin Practice. We could have called it Missin Practice.
I mean, listen, it would have been crispy rice. That would have been my best practice of my career. I would have been like so focused. I would have been like,
you would have been dialed in.
I'm not missing a pass.
Guilty hockey. We've all been there.
Professor Brew would have chipped it in your corner every single time, those two.
And remember Kess when I popped off, I think it was in the media or something that year. He came in, he played that song, It's Too Late to Apologize. I got in trouble. He's like, it's too late. I'm like, fuck you, Kessler. So
I saw Kess and Juice last night at dinner.
No way.
Yeah, I told him we had you coming on today, and they said to say hi. Yeah, boys are doing good.
We had a good group of guys in Vancouver. Yeah, we had a good group of guys. I mean, when you play against those guys, Razor, you truly hate them. Even after I played Vancouver, we played Nashville against Vancouver in the playoffs, and I truly I tried to fight Biexka. I wanted to kill Kess and Burr, but when they're on your team,
this is funny. Kess last night, he goes, you know what I still remember, and he had the honest juice going. You know, he had a couple.
Yeah, he gets honest.
He's like, the one time Philly was going to trade, like they were going to offer me like an offer sheet, and you came out in the media and said, I would not offer this guy nothing to get on this team. No chance. And I came out in the media and said it. I'm like, Kess, you know what it's like when you're playing? Like now these guys are soft. Like they don't say shit to really anyone other than like the Marchands right now and stuff. But I'm like, I fucking hated you. You were an American. I was a Canadian. We battled in fucking, that. And then we come in the league and you're fucking playing the way you do and I play the way I do. I didn't want you on the fucking Philadelphia Flyers, although you probably would have helped our team big time. We might have won. We could have won, but
he was sick back then.
Sick, And I said you just call it like it's me looking up to you. Actually, to chirp you like that, it's kind of like I'm not going to tell you to fucking.
Remember you come to the rink and Cash would be like, I'm like, what do you have to be fucking depressed about today? You're making fucking 5 bananas. You're on pace for 40. So what? Your wife's bugging you? Like, come on, fella. Like, I haven't played in a week here. Like, come on.
Yeah, you're not fooling anybody, Cass. Like, you don't have to be tough in this room.
Yeah,
totally.
We don't care, fella. We know you're tough. Smile here. We're playing
the rest of the league.
We're playing the National League. Razor, remember how I have to weigh in every day? I'd go in the steamer in there, and I'd just be hung cheese in the steamer. Come out, get on the scale. Roger Takahashi. I'm like 234. I'm like, mark down 231, Raj. Okay, go out there. Practice. I'm like, does AV think this is helping me or what?
In Raj, he was still there when I went up for camp on Raj.
I would love being in that weight room for the way off.
The way off. It was a way off. We should have sold Razor, we should have been partners. We should have sold pay-per-view tickets for that.
What about Welly? How about Wellwood? How was he?
Oh,
How about the barrel he had on him? He had a good little beer drinking barrel on him, didn't he?
Did he ever? I
Even
told
in
this was the
junior.
last. This changed Welly's trajectory in Vancouver. And Razor was the first year. You weren't there yet. We go out and get absolutely fucking pinned. And you know remember where the hot tub, cold tub is in Vancouver, kind of by the showers there?
Way in the back.
Yeah. So Mitchie Babe comes in, he goes, the fuck did you do to your boy Welly? I'm like, I wasn't with Welly. I was not with Welly last night. He's like, fuck off, I'll go check the hot tub. And there he is, buck naked, 1 foot in, cock hanging out. I go give him a tap. I'm like, Welly, what are you doing? He's like, oh, is there any meetings? I'm like, no meetings. He's like, wake me up 5 minutes before practice. Slept the entire time, went out and snapped it around. But after that, he kind of, I think, obviously people found out and they were like, hey.
Oh, Welly.
Oh, he was, man, you know what, Welly?
I love that kid.
And our year, Razor, our second year, or my second year, your first year in Vancouver, Welly was so good for us, especially in playoffs again. Remember how good he was?
He won every face-off. He did that little kick face-off thing.
He
where
kicked
put
the
his
guy's
foot in
stick.
the draw,
Yeah.
went it right back with his little stick.
Oh, hey, Razor, you know what Pitter cannot let go to this day? Remember we won game 1, we smoked them like 6-1, and then we were up like 2-0 or 2.
We're up 3-0 in the first.
Yeah. But then the third, we were up a goal late or something, right? Yeah. My dad's like still this day. He's like, you guys win that game, you win the series. I'm like, Pitter, it's time to let it go.
It's the Hawks.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same way as Pitter.
Yeah.
We won the cup that year.
If we get by them, I think we win it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Old Mitchie Babe was hurt. That killed us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Mitchie was hurt. That did kill us, right? Who did we pick up? We picked up Andrew Alberts, and was Andrew Alberts on the team?
Big Alf.
Yeah, so we didn't have Mitchie. Mitchie was our guy. He had conkers. And speaking of Mitchie, remember he come in the rink and he's like, I hadn't been outside in fucking 2 months, right? Razor? I'm like, fella, I don't know much about concussions, but if I sat in my house for a month and then came out, I don't think I'd be firing all cylinders either here. Like, I think we got to get you back in the room here. Get you line pulling. Hey, let's get the blood flowing. You want to play some cards or what? You want to talk?
Get in the shower with the boys? Come on.
Have a soak or what? Come on. Oh, Razor, I love you, buddy. We could do this forever. We'll have you back on.
I got to get out west at some point here.
Yeah.
Your lives.
Thank you, Razor. Miss you, buddy. Thank you. Up dog. We got a former teammate of yours.
Special guest. Special line mate, too.
A guy that definitely a few times whacked me in the back of the legs throughout the playoff series. Got me Heartbreak Hotel.
Well, what'd you do to him?
Cross checks, face wash, fucking everything.
Chirped him about his hair.
You name it, everything. 643 games, 2-time Stanley Cup champ, Sportsnet analyst, power play analyst.
God, he's got it all,
He's got
doesn't
a pretty good rap sheet
How
right
many
now.
cups?
2 cups.
Oh,
Krys Versteeg. Steeger.
Obi, it's good talking to you. I thought we were only allowed to talk on the power play, but apparently you brought me on your show finally.
I know.
Thank you.
Hey, by the way, your guys' power play show is great. I love the fact that you guys just take opposite stands on absolutely everything that gets brought. What's better, ketchup or mustard? Fuck, it's ketchup today. It's
I know, right? And then we got Kouleas there. I mean, Kouleas is he's the best.
fire.
He's the best.
Feeds it.
He knows, and Steeger, you can contest this. Kouleas knows everything about every fucking game. So when I started doing it with him, Steeger, like I was watching lots of hockey, but there was games I would miss, and I started doing it with him, and I'm like told Uppy, I'm like, I got to catch every game because Kouleas will throw a fucking curveball at you from like the wild fucking Ducks game that you're like, you know what I mean?
So I told Kouleas, I'm like, man, I can't watch 8 games a night. Like, I can't watch 8 games. I can watch. I'm like, don't ask me about Minnesota versus LA, the second power play unit. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can't catch me off guard because Kouleas watches every game, every second. He knows every detail. And I'm like, let's focus on, like you try to watch every highlight, right, Obi? Yeah. But it's impossible to do it all.
I got you down here as a B+ player.
Steeger,
B+
this
player.
Fucking brings. We got to tell this story. And
Let me ask one question before. Okay, go ahead. Tell.
Because this is so perfect. A B player. Yeah. You got to tell a story about fucking Chris Barch going around the room in Florida when we were fucking on a 10-game or 12-game losing streak, and he went around. He called the team meeting, shut the doors at our practice rink, and he went around to fucking every guy on the team, and he asked you, on a fucking good team, what type of player are you? Like, basically, he said to fucking Jovo, Stephen Weiss, Brian Campbell, went around the room asking everyone, and then he would go on the chalkboard and he would write, Steeger, on a fucking, you played on Chicago, you won a cup. Whoa, what type of player were you there? Third line. He'd write third line, and then he'd go around, and by the end of it, we didn't have any first or second line players. We had all third, fourth line, and guys that were scratches. And he would fuck. Do you remember that?
So I still remember this, and we ended up going on a heater after that too. But basically, he did go around the room, and I remember when he got to me, he's like, Steeger, what line did you play in Chicago? It was third line. And then he takes the pen and he like draws 10 feet inside the blue line, and he draws 10 feet outside the blue line. He goes, see this area? No more fucking turnovers. And he goes, first line players can make plays within this area. Yeah. And then he went around the room and he goes, Soupy, you can play however you want, right? I remember it was like Soupy, and then like Jobo, they could play, but the rest of us, yeah. But anyways, I remember that kind of got us going. But that team made the playoffs, right? Like that was a team that should have never made it, and we made it. But that was a pretty pivotal moment. But that was funny, you're right?
Fucking Krys Barchi.
Fuck, is that
beautiful? Reminds me of our time back at the Spengler Cup.
He wanted to talk about the Spengler Cup with you, Steeger.
Fuck, do you remember?
It brought a twinkle to his eye.
You should have seen our bodies when we were done there. I could barely walk, and Steeger, your elbow was the size of a fucking grapefruit, and your hip was hanging on by a thread. I think you left her back. You left your hip back in Toronto when you showed up to the Spengler Cup. How's the body feel? Fuck, do you miss the game? What's going on? Are you enjoying the time with the family? I've only been on the ice one time.
I broke my foot in the second period. Remember, I broke my
in the final,
my arch. Yeah, in the final. So like,
the arch,
dude. Like I couldn't step on my foot for 2 months. We left it all out there. I remember I was like, we got to go all out and win this thing. And then
we got to go all out.
You know, my dad actually asked me that last night. He's like, you missed the game? And I miss the guys. Like, I just miss being around the guys. I miss just, you know, having everyone who you have a lot in common with, talking and just enjoying each other's company. I miss, you know what the thing I miss maybe the most is big moments. I miss playing in a Stanley Cup Finals. I miss going to Vancouver. Those series, man, that intensity.
Yeah.
Like that's a feeling that, I mean, you may never get again, right? Yeah. That type of rush. So you kind of think about that. What I don't miss is the lows, and I don't miss going, you know, getting after a game, flying 2 hours, getting on a bus, you know, taking an hour bus to the hotel, getting, you know, sleep, getting up, taking an hour bus to the rink, morning skate, hour bus back to the hotel, hour bus to the game, play, hour bus, you know, then a 2 hour flight. Like, it's just like at some point,
it's too much. Yeah. Hopefully they figure that shit out. Hopefully the younger guys don't have to deal with all this crap that
was fun.
You know,
Steeger, that was
how many times a day would they make you take your suit on and off?
Holy fuck.
Like, just let us fucking stretch in the hotel or something.
That's I was like, why are we going on an hour bus from the hotel in Arizona in traffic for an hour to morning skate in a suit to get our suit back on, to take it back, to get, you know, back around 1 o'clock, and then you got to squeeze for a nap to get back on. I'm like, so like those little things, you're right. I was like, no more for me. But as for just being around the guys, and that, I mean, I miss that in big moments for sure. Just the big like Stanley Cup playoffs. Wow, that's a rush.
Do you miss living in Florida in the nice weather?
I do miss. You know, I loved Florida, especially in the wintertime. You know, that was great.
Perfect.
I think I'm more of like a dry heat guy. I like Arizona and
we got to get you down here. We got to get you in studio. You fucking you'd be a blast.
That was fucking hilarious. Yeah. You're on the bus. You're off the bus. You're on the bus. Get on the bus. I'll tell you what I miss, Steeger. I miss the fucking paychecks, bud. I'm not gonna lie. I missed the 2 weeks where you're fucking had a couple bad games, healthy scratch. You go in the locker. They put it off. All right, she's worth it, boys. Where are we going for lunch? But
I'll take the ups and downs any day.
I will.
Yeah, I always had a goal after looking at my paycheck. Yeah, you know, I always came to play that.
Except for when you looked at the escrow and you motherfuckers.
Hey, remember we used to steal Soupy's paycheck? And we'd slide ours in his envelope. We'd take his, just leave free game straight with it. He'd be like, "What the fuck?" Oh, it's great.
Like, Steeger, you can't look at mine.
Yeah, his checks would legit be like 8 times more than at most guys.
Buddy, I took a look one day at Bobby Lou's halfway through my first year in Vancouver. I'm like, let me take a peek at that, Lou. I was like fucking $250K or something. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, no shit.
Steeger,
yeah, thanks for
one
coming
last thing, Steeger. You're an absolute beauty, buddy. BX, how's my old D partner doing up there on Sportsnet? He seems to always give you a hard time. Don't take that shit from Steeger. I know you don't.
Yeah, he's on the national platform, and I'm here at home on Instagram. You know, and I got my radio hits I do 3 days a week. So he's really letting me have it in front of the national audience. Yeah, but you know what? He does a great job. He's a guy, man, imagine if they actually did it right, where it's off the cuff. And instead of like, I feel like a weatherman on TV where it's like 30 seconds talk. I wish they would be like, here's one, like in TNT on NBA.
Yeah.
They give these guys one discussion and they debate it till they're red in the face. And it's a really good discussion where, you know, imagine Bieksa in that type of scenario where there's like that type of, you know, core, I guess, going back and forth about it. I would love to see him in that, but I mean, he does a great job, man. He's awesome.
Steeger, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
You're the man. We'll have you back on next time you're in California. We'll get you in the studio. So we appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us.